Welcome back to Mean Streets, the podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir and more. I am Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths. Now it's time to crack another case. Matt, we are back. A new investigation is before us.
Yeah.
What have we got?
Today we've got what I think is a fascinating case to investigate. We're looking at 1955's The Night of the Hunter, starring Robert Mitchum, Shelley Winters and Lillian Gish, written by James Agee from a novel by Davis Grubb, and directed by the great Charles Laughton. The plot summary is: a self-proclaimed preacher marries a gullible widow whose young children are reluctant to tell him where their real dad hid the $10,000 he'd stolen in a robbery.
So much to say. Where to begin? Where to begin?
Well, let's begin. Is this one you've seen before? Let's ask that.
I have seen it before a while ago. I think I've only seen it once before. And that's about the extent of it. So there was an element of sort of feeling like I'm watching it for the first time. I very much remember the love and hate hand tattoo, message thing. That's kind of iconic. But yes, I'd seen it before, but this kind of felt like a first watch because it was just once before and wasn't really a film that left a lasting impression on me. And I'm not sure this time is any different.
Interesting.
How about you?
Well, this is a great example of one of those films that, as I was growing up, everyone said, you must watch this. This is a classic. This is great. Yeah. This is cinema at its best. Thinking, well, I'll watch it then.
Is it?
Well, I'm only gonna go so far as to say what I saw was not what I was expecting.
Okay.
I think this is a sort of almost a Marmite sort of film. You either love this film or you hate it. And I can see why people don't like it. I think it's very much a personal point of view, this. But I'm a fan of this film. I like this film. But I appreciate it's not going to be to everyone's taste. It's not straightforward at all in terms of a crime thriller. It's very stylized.
Yes, and in the film's defense, I mean, I think some of the standout stuff comes from its stylization, not necessarily from its plot execution.
No, I did. It's a long time since I've watched it. I've watched it many times over the years, but I've not watched it for a long time, and I did have a reaction that I don't think I've had before to it, which we'll come on to. Okay. And it is a negative one. So we'll come on to it when we get into the nitty gritty of it. But overall, I think there's much to admire about this film.
I think that's fair to say. I think yes, there's a lot to admire, but there is a lot to criticize. So
yeah,
hold on to your butts, people. We're going in.
Hold on.
Based on a novel, like you said, by Davis Grubb. What a name, Grubb.
Yeah.
That sounds like a villain in a Harry Potter book.
Absolutely, but
Mr.
his
Grubb,
real name, I think.
Probably. Have you read the book? I've not read the book.
I've not read the book, no. And to be honest, I've never seen it available to buy. I've never seen it in a shop. I've never seen it, widely, commercially available. So I wonder whether you'd have to sort of go to, dig around to find a copy somewhere. And I've never done it. How it fares as an adaptation of that book, I can't say. Have you read it? Do you? I think in terms of story, I think it's quite faithful. I think the basic idea is the same.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it is quite similar. It is available. It is possible to get through various sources. Penguin, I know, did a series of crime classics that included like Ross McDonald and other people who I can't remember. I can't remember which Ross McDonald book it included, but one Ross McDonald, they did the novel version of In a Lonely Place. They all had like these kind of green covers. It was, yes, yeah, and they looked really cool. Night of the Hunter was included in that, so it is available through those means.
I've not seen that when I've been out and about. So
yeah, no, I haven't seen it either, but it is possible to acquire. Like I can see it right now on the old Amazon machine. It is right there. Cool little cover, tree with a couple of kids, a lot of green pails. It's cool looking cover. And the story of the book is very close to the story of the film, but I've not read it. But it's one that I'm like, I would really, having watched this film again, I would be keen to go back and not go back, but I'd be keen to get the book and read it now and do a little bit of a comparison to see which I liked, which I would like better, which one. I don't know which one, but I'm keen to maybe experiment and do that at some point when I have more time.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. It'd be interesting to see how it does compare. This
little movie, we'll go behind the scenes. Go behind the camera. Okay. Talk about how this thing got made. So it was released in July 26, 1955, which at the time of recording is that's anniversary is only a few days away from us. Just so, and I don't know when this episode comes out. This episode comes out in like November. So just so people know, that's how far in advance this is going at the moment. But yeah, July 26, 1955, it released. Budget is estimated to be around $600,000. I don't know what the box office return was. I couldn't find that. But there we go.
No, I couldn't either. But it's safe to say, I reckon it didn't make any of it back.
There are some comments that we'll get into that. Yes, I got that same impression. That same impression. I don't think this one did well at the box office.
That's all.
No. Charles Laughton is the director. This is his sole credit, apparently, as a director.
It is, as a director. He and Irving Allen and Burgess Meredith directed The Man on the Eiffel Tower, but only Burgess Meredith gets a credit. I think Laughton was planning to do a film adaptation of The Naked and the Dead after this, but the reaction to this film just disheartened him completely, and he just gave up directing that is. But he directed a lot in the theatre. I know that.
Yeah.
And I think he probably preferred doing that because you could alter it as you went along, whereas on film it's committed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's his only, and it was the experience of the reaction to this film that pulled the plug on his movie directorial career.
Yeah. I read a little bit about that as well, and it sounded like he was like It sounded like he was more at home with theater and didn't seem to miss directing movies.
I don't think he missed it at all, and he had an interesting way of directing, which perhaps we'll get onto. But he didn't do takes as such. So
we'll go into it. Let's go into it now. Now's the time.
He, as I understand it, he just filmed until the film ran out, and then that's when they stopped. So, and I think that's testament to his theatrical background, because that's what would happen, isn't it? So instead of just filming little bit, as we know, films are filmed in little bits and little takes of short periods of time. Laughton was going through whole reels of film until they ran out, and then cutting it, to put it to cut out bits that didn't work or where someone wasn't looking in the right direction or whatever. So I think that does sort of indicate his preference for direction, and he was very subconscious about it, and he was very. People would say, actors on the set would say to him, Mitchum in particular would say, "What about doing this?" And he'd think every suggestion was sort of, "Are they doing this because they know I don't know what I'm doing?" That was his sort of reaction to it. I mean, I'm not a Laughton expert. You have to go to other people for that. Simon Callow in particular, he's a big Charles Laughton fan and written many books about it. But I think Laughton had a self-doubt, a great self-doubt. I think sexuality-wise, he was in conflict, and I think some of that translates into this film. That self-doubt about all aspects of his life. I think he was more at home in the theatre and being directed on film than he was in this. So he's neither acting in this and was directing it.
Yeah.
So I think he's doubly out of his comfort zone, as people say these days.
Yeah, possibly.
So, and I don't think he was. I don't think he directed this film in the way that people do. I mean, you know, he had a vision for it and he put it on screen. And unless you're a very accomplished director, that's a brave thing to do. I think, even for accomplished directors, it's a brave thing to do, to just say that's what I want. So, but he would constantly say, you know, worry about whether he was doing it correctly, whether he was directing properly, and whether he was making the film correctly. So I think you have to bear that in mind when you watch the finished product. And see what you get. You know, what
do you think his vision was?
Well, he called it a nightmare version of Mother Goose, and I think that's what his vision was. Yes. I think this is, as much of a film noir, this is a fairy tale.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fairy tale motifs throughout this.
Yeah, we are not in the real world in this. And I think in an odd way, that makes the film not so much timeless, but, you know, it makes it otherworldly, so that there isn't a sense of necessarily of a definite period in this, although it's obviously hinted at Depression era. You know, there's no indication of the actual 1950s in this, you know, or anything like that.
You think?
And some of the shots are very oddly done. I mean, the sequence when they're in the kids are in the boat, and right up close is a big frog or toad or whatever it is, and then the stylized spider's web and the rabbits and all the wildlife is right in front of you. You know, I find that it's a hauntingly fairy tale sort of scene to me. That, you know, I don't think we're in the real world in this. I don't think any of it is set in the real world.
Interesting. I don't know if I'd go that far. There's fairy tale motifs for sure.
A representation of it, of course, you know, but I don't think it's.
I would say, you know, Mrs. Cooper is clearly, you know, the hag character, you know, in myths. She stroke the wise old, you know, magical helper. She clearly fulfills that role. She is also Mother Goose in the way that children are following her down the road, and you know, and particularly when the kids go on the run later in the movie, and you know, the way that they are in that boat, it's very sort of, you know, running from the big bad wolf kind of situation. And you have the spider's web and the, you know, he's definitely doing something and saying something that is, you know, kind of, you know, hinting at the fairy tale aspect, I think. And most fairy tales are nightmares. You know, they're very, you know, they're not good stories, not happy stories quite often.
Not until Disney gets his hands on them.
Not until Disney fights them all. But classic real fairy tales are cautionary tales, essentially. And that's, you know, that's kind of where this is going with that. Like, it is, you know, Mother Goose. I don't know I can't remember what stories Mother Goose told. I'm not a Mother Goose expert either. I don't know, but maybe those are happier, lighter stories. I don't know. But if we're talking just general fairy tales, like fairy tales are grim, you know. And this is, you know, this is a very, very grim kind of thing. And so I can see, like, on his vision as a sort of fairy tale, but I'd say this is very firmly 1950s. I don't think, you know, the way I look at this, I don't think that it's trying to be in a timeless world. I think that is directly responding to life in a post-depression era, from the way that, you know, Peter Graves' character at the very beginning is, you know, running away from the cops, having killed a guy, having robbed a bank, yada yada yada, and mentioning depression and things like that. You know, even the way that Mitchum's character is, you know, a snake oil preacher and manipulating people. I feel like the thing is, and the way he's responding to sexuality at that time, and that religious condemnation of sex
all that is in there.
Is quite a direct response, I think, to 1950.
It certainly is a response. And Peter Graves has that great line where he says about stealing. He steals the 10 grand because he got tired of seeing kids starving in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a very humanistic motive for robbing a bank, you know. And and this bloke then he's hanged, you know, it's pretty early on. I agree. It's definitely reacting to it. I think the landscape in which that reaction is played out is what I'm saying is, to me, overtly fairy tale-ish and not necessarily set in a particular time. But certainly the themes and the attitudes to those themes, I 100% agree with you. It's the canvas and the landscape on which they are presented that I think that has a real fairy tale quality for me, a real fairy tale quality. And we'll come on to certain scenes that make me think you're not meant to accept that this is, or even consider that this is a reality. You know, I mean, there's the bit where he's chasing up the stairs from the basement. The very way that is framed is pretty. Nobody runs upstairs like that, do they? You know, and there are some shots of Mitchum's reactions that are, and other characters' reactions that are a bit sort of a cartoon strippy, you know, wide eyes and open mouthed, things like that. And I think, you know, there's a jarring quality to those, perfectly intentional. You know, no doubt. I have no doubt about that. But,
some of that I think is just bad acting.
We'll have an issue to say about that, but we'll come on to that later on when we talk about performances.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I'm not sure this is timeless. I think it's just some of it's just poor, but there are things that are worth celebrating. I promise. Interestingly, Laughton, to prepare for this film, immersed himself in silent films. And things like Birth of a Nation, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. He essentially is quoted as saying he wanted to restore the power of silent films to talkies. And I think that vision comes across more clearly than his fairy tale vision. Particularly in various scenes like the scene with the preacher. I'm just going to call Mitchum's character the preacher. I know he has a name, but I'm going to call him the preacher. The preacher and Willa, when Willa is lying in bed, almost like a Sleeping Beauty kind of situation, and he pulls a knife out. Mitchum does some very overly dramatic, almost Sweeney Todd dramatic movements, reaching towards the sky, the light, and this, in this kind of arched room at the top of the house. That to me, that felt very silent film acting.
It does. It definitely is. It definitely is. And the set itself, I mean, it looks like a chapel and a crypt at the same time. And it reminds me very much of something like Dr. Caligari. Where there's a lot of archways and they're all sort of slightly slanted and they don't look quite right, and she is lying there like Sleeping Beauty. That's definitely right. Yeah. And he is. And he holds his hand up to the light, doesn't he? And he's sort of looking up.
It's very theatrical.
All very silent filming.
Yeah. There's a sort of I guess Sunset Boulevard vibe to the acting, the silent film actress who is constantly overacting because her whole life was silent film acting. And
that's it.
You can feel that in the way most of the adult actors are performing. But also, I mean, there's also scenes that are quite haunting. I think the scene of spoiler, but Willa's body underwater is a beautiful shot, both above water and underwater. Those shots are fantastic.
And it's a remarkable dummy.
Yeah, is it? I couldn't find out. Was that a dummy?
It's a dummy.
That's a very good dummy for 1950. My God.
Great dummy. Yeah, great dummy. So haunting. I think it was the cinematographer said it's so haunting. I forgot it was one.
Yeah, it looked amazing. It looked seriously amazing
with all the algae and the reeds.
It's perfect.
Floating past it, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, and then of course, and the initial scene where the kids are running away, and they get on the boats, and there's the water is black as night, and you see this little bit of like light trickling on it, but then you got the stars popping behind. It's clearly all done on a set. This isn't done out in real life. It's a remarkable looking set. Yeah, it's that stuff you can see, you can feel that inspiration. This is like, I don't know, makes me think of like Nosferatu or something like that. There's very, very good, incredible visuals all throughout this film.
There's a few
that
horror
are
motifs
undercut by some terrible acting.
there's a few horror motifs in this, you know, that I think that have influenced things that have gone. It is itself influenced by things in the past. Nosferatu, I think, is one of them, and it has then gone on in turn to influence other things. So there's a scene where there's a shot where the lad, is it John, is telling the story to Pearl to get her to go to sleep, and the preacher's hat appears in shadow on the wall, which is a great shot, and that is very Nosferatu-ish because the shadow falling across the bed and all that business. And then he looks out of the window and he sees Robert Mitchum just standing perfectly still, which always makes me think of Michael Myers, just standing watching. But he's under a lamppost, which then in turn makes me think of Max von Sydow in The Exorcist. You know, there are a lot of these things that occurred to me as I watched this film, because, you know, I think this is, I'm not saying it's an out-and-out horror, but there are some disturbing images in this. There are some unpleasant things in this that you don't necessarily get to see, but they are, you know, they've happened and they are quite unpleasant.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure there's other people out there who are probably like screaming at the podcast, being like, "That's a reference to this silent movie. That's a reference to this silent movie." And I sort of wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these shots are not wholly original to the film, but are inspirations from other pieces. But I think it's fair to say visually, what Laughton was trying to do was successful. It's narratively that I think there are problems, which maybe we should talk about the screenwriter briefly.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
James Agee or Agee.
Agee. I don't know. Agee. He might even be Agee.
Who knows? He did not have a very long career. But he worked on two very well-known films, one being The African Queen, the Bogart movie from 1951, and of course, The Night of the Hunter. These are his two most famous projects. But alcoholism, man, it'll get you every time.
Get you every time.
That sort of cut his career, and sadly, his life tragically short. He died in 1955. So I think The Night of the Hunter must be the last
thing he did, I think.
That he properly did. But yeah, so his original script, you know, there were some problems with it. One thing that was original to his script that remains in the film is his version ended with the faces of the children floating among the stars. That was then put to the beginning of the movie, which, fuck me if that makes any sense at all, but whatever. It's there. It's a thing. It happened.
No, what makes no sense? The kids in the sky, the kids in the stars,
in the sky, and the woman.
Whether it's at the beginning or the end or both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah,
both.
There are certain touches like that I can do without, I do have to say.
Yes, but he was hired for this particular role because he was from the South. I guess fair enough. He had experience in writing Depression era like things and lived that stuff. He began writing it in 1954. In April 1954, finished it by June. But the thing is, this script was 293 pages. That's a novel. That's far too long. It's probably as long as the actual book. Like, what are you doing?
Probably longer. If this is one of those 1950s pulps, it's probably longer, isn't it?
Probably. I bet I could find out. I bet I could find out what its page count is. Maybe, possibly. If no, I can't find out. It's not telling me easily. But
I mean, roughly,
it's not
speaking,
a fat book. Let me tell you.
No, 293 pages is pretty much your average crime novel.
256, according to the Penguin book that I was talking about. It's 256, and this guy did 293 pages.
I did almost 40 pages.
Yes. So this is way too long. Laughton made did a considerable rewrite of this film, and essentially that was the version that they shot with. However, Laughton seems like a good guy because he didn't cut the guy's writing credit and insisted that Agee retain the sole writing credit. So that's quite impressive. I thought that's good on you, I guess, for doing that, given that it sounded like he probably had a lot of work to do. And maybe some of the problems narratively come from the fact that this was a 293-page script that they had to trim down. So you not only did this guy had to adapt a novel, the director then had to adapt the adaptation.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it generally the case that one page of script is 1 minute of screen time? I seem to remember
roughly, yeah.
Learning at some point in my life. So this is, that first script is 293 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's like your average superhero film.
I know, right? Far too. I mean, maybe he saw this as some sort of epic, and frankly, the amount of stuff and the way the narrative flows, I could almost see this as one of those like annoying 1950s 3-hour-long, self-important, self-indulgent movies, like the Ten Commandments or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. And I think what stops it the reason I think I'm going to go out on a limb here, the reason this film is remembered and almost revered, if not actually revered today, is nothing to do with the plot or the story.
No,
it's Mitchum,
the visual,
and it's Laughton. That's why it's remembered. So 293 pages of this pretty rude. I said at the outset that summary of the plot is you can't add anything to that, can you? That is what the plot is. It's so thin that making 293 pages out of it is bound to result in waffle.
Yes. It's why I'm interested to see what the book is about. How does the book balance these different narratives? And maybe the children's journey is more exciting and more interesting when they run away than what we get eventually in the film. I guess on the production side, Grubb's literary agent sent the copy of this book to producer Paul Gregory. And Gregory's like, this is pretty good. So then Gregory sent it to Laughton. They loved it. They talked about it. That's where the whole nightmarish Mother Goose story comes about.
That's what that is, yeah.
They met with Grubb. Grubb initially wanted or was considered to write the film himself, but the studio were like, nah. We need someone who has experience writing films. To which I say, I'm not sure you did in this situation. I'm not sure you did, given what James Agee, did, considering what he did. Now there were issues during the production of this, because the way the preacher is depicted is not positive. He's an evil guy. He's lying, manipulative. Yeah, he's manipulative. He's doing all sorts of nasty stuff, and there were efforts made in this movie to ensure or console the audience so that they know that this guy is not a properly ordained minister. But we all know that real ministers do this stuff all the time.
Yeah. Well, quite. Yeah. Even the more sleazy aspects of this preacher, which is played out in an ice cream parlor and with bouncing Pearl on his knee. I don't think I need to go any further. We know that men of the cloth do that as well. So,
yes. So I found that quite interesting that they were kind of butting heads. There was a lot of issues kind of around the way that the preacher was being depicted, and needing to sort of safeguard the movie to assure that no, it's fine. He's not a real preacher. He's not a real preacher. But I think one of the film's strongest commentaries is probably in the way it shamelessly handles that topic of immoral preachers, and the way that they snake their way, slithering from town to town, and manipulate people and congregations for money, and whatever it is that they want, and make people feel terrible about themselves, in this quest to just, I don't know, narcissists on overload. I like
it, and it's they are a form of person that instantly inspires trust.
Yes,
to certain people, just as the police should be. The old adage of ask a policeman. I won't go near one now. You know what I mean? So the priests and vicars and holy men are the sort of people you should be able to trust, and that's why it's all the more terrifying when you find out that you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this film taking that really dark and very real truth and exposing it, for want of a better phrase, is pretty ballsy, to be honest. And I think it's very gutsy, and it goes back to what you were saying before about it addressing issues that are real ones that society face.
It's a bit it kind of reminds me a little bit of The Glass Key, and that's another film. It's like, this is, and obviously book, but this is in the film version. It's another film that is tackling real big social issues, but the film kind of buckles under the weight of its, I don't know, narrative sloppiness, I guess. You know what I mean? It just,
I do, yeah. I mean, like, this film would just be a schlock B movie if it weren't for Laughton. That's the truth of it. If it weren't for Laughton, and because that's what this story is. It's a schlock pulp story. Any magic in this film is not down to the story or the script. And I might say the same about the book if I'd read it. Because I suspect the book is not far from what the script is, but I don't want to prejudge it.
Well, I mean, this is the problem. I don't know, because something that can be done in a book might work incredibly well, and the adaptation might fail. I mean,
well, that's true. That's very
so. For example, we could use the example of Zack Snyder's The Watchmen. It's so shamelessly faithful, except for the ending, that it almost. It kind of got people. Some people didn't love that bit. They thought, well, you could have taken some creative license to like move things ahead quicker. Like, you didn't have to be slavishly, true to this. You could speed things up. I think Lord of the Rings is a good example of how you can take this source material and condense something that is massive into a chunky film that at no point feels like it's wasting time.
That's
so
adaptation skill.
So I sort of feel like the concept of this story, what this preacher is doing, what's going on, actually sounds like it could be really well done, or could be a very compelling story. The synopsis to this film is very compelling, and I think the synopsis to the book is equally compelling. It's just its execution is incredibly unbalanced. There's a point in the film where it just feels like it's the end, but there's still like an hour left, and you're like, what the hell am I going to do for the next hour? Okay. But back to Agee and the problems like that. The film was banned in certain places. It was banned in Memphis, Tennessee. Couldn't be shown there, and in Britain, old Great Britain, where we are, it was rated for adults only.
Not surprised at that.
I guess.
I think there are worse films, to be quite honest.
I think so too. That's why I'm
even from the time,
yeah,
that are more disturbing than this. Although I do think there are disturbing elements to this film, as I say.
There are.
But I don't know whether it needs to be adults only.
Yeah.
Although can't see kids being entertained by it. So
this is not a kids film. Thing. No, this is not a kids film. This is not a kind of bubblegum crime drama that you have a double feature with or anything like that. This really is adult. It is adult entertainment. This would be an R-rated. If this was today, this would be rated R probably.
Yeah, I think so.
That's probably where it should land.
Yeah.
On back to kind of the production stuff. On the casting side, Laughton thought he should he should cast himself as the preacher. In the studio, we're like, no. You need like a real actor in this role. You can't do it.
Well, Laughton was a brilliant actor, but I don't think he was so good an actor that he could
an actor with they needed an actor with a name is what they needed. An actor with a name.
Yeah, I don't think you could. Well, even so, I don't think he could have convinced you that he was this preacher. You know,
No.
he certainly could be. He could be evil on film. He's Captain Bligh is a testament to how evil he can be on film.
Mm.
But this is a different type of evil.
Yes.
This needs. I'm going to say it. This needs Robert Mitchum.
Yes.
Some of the other choices are interesting. I won't deny that. But,
yeah, we'll get those in just 1 second. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I like the fact with his auditioning process, if this is true, it's quite interesting. But he didn't do typical auditions. He would meet with people and just get a sense of who they are, you know, check out their personality, things like that. And then from that would determine if they were right for the role, which is an interesting way of doing it. I quite like that. But
I think Hitchcock didn't Hitchcock do something similar? Didn't he take him out to dinner and just talk to him about anything other than the film?
Yeah, that rings a bell. I think yes, that rings a bell.
And then decide from that, you know, from their reactions to something, because he gets them then when they're not performing.
Yeah,
you know, I'm sure he did.
Yeah,
people can tell us if I'm wrong, but I'm sure he did. But yeah, it's an interesting approach. It
is. So on to the alternative casting options. So for the role of the preacher, a couple options were thrown around. Gary Cooper was thrown around. John Carradine was another, as was Laurence Olivier.
Well,
I have no real feelings either way towards any of these three, whether they would have been better or worse than Mitchum.
I think Gary Cooper turned it down because he thought it might be detrimental to his career, and I sort of think that was the right thing to do. Gary Cooper's too heroic for this.
Yes. Yeah.
Gary Cooper was a hero. Gary Cooper was Alan Ladd. Gary Cooper was, Steve McQueen. He was a hero. He couldn't do that. I'm sure he could do this. But nobody would have bought it.
Well, it depends. Who would have bought Heath Ledger as the Joker?
Well, possibly.
I think it was more for him. It was about it just wasn't what he wanted to do with his image.
Definitely.
He didn't want to go dark heroic with anything. He wanted to retain hero, and he sort of retained that for the last couple of decade or so that he was.
Well, he
around.
did. Yeah. John Carradine, I think Carradine would have been good. I think Carradine would have been absolutely fascinating to see.
Yeah.
It would have been a different, I'm going to say more flamboyant. I don't want to say over the top because Mitchum's over the top in certain bits. But,
oh my God, yes.
I think it would have been a bit more flamboyant, but I think it would have been really good. I'd have loved to have seen that. Yeah,
and he's because Carradine has that. He's got that sleaze factor.
He's got a sleaze, but he's also got the. I can see him in the preacher's outfit. I can see him spouting the words of the Lord, and I can see him having that maniacal look in his eye while he does it.
Yeah.
I can just see Carradine doing this.
Definitely. Yeah, I can buy that. I guess Olivier, whatever, sure.
Whatever. I don't buy into that at all. Really, I don't think.
That might be a bit too much, maybe.
Yeah. Olivier was very good at villains when he played them, but not this type. I don't think. I think he'd have been too theatrical. Again, that just sounds ridiculous when what we're going to talk about. But
that might make him the perfect fit for this. Which that suits Laughton because he comes from theater, so he's thinking he gets very theatrical performances from people. So. And if he's going with a silent film inspiration, I mean, I can see the logic there.
I can see the logic. Yeah, I can see the logic. And Olivier was expressed interest in it, so he obviously thought he saw something in it as well. Possibly the chance to work with Laughton, but I bet that there would have been two egos fighting for dominance. I can tell you that.
maybe. Alternative casting for Willa is rather interesting. Agnes Moorehead was up for the role. You might know it from Citizen Kane or Dark Passenger, Showboat. I know her from the TV show Bewitched. That's my point of reference for her is in the 90s watching old 1960s Bewitched reruns.
That's where I first saw the name Agnes Moorehead.
Yep. I was like, I know that name. Oh, I know that face. Oh yeah, Bewitched. There we go. Grace Kelly, the beautiful, stunning Grace Kelly. That could have been interesting.
That could have been interesting. Yeah,
That could have leveled the playing field a little bit.
Sure could. Wow.
Jeez. Missed opportunity there.
I think she would have been of the ones that were famously considered. I think she's the best choice. I think she would have been great, really good.
I think so
her
too.
And Peter Graves are one good-looking couple.
Yes, yeah. The other thing with this is this film has a psycho component, and that is your female lead dies halfway through the movie.
Yep,
viciously dies. She's murdered. When did Psycho come out?
1960.
Mr. Hitchcock. Did you steal an idea?
Well, possibly. When did Psycho
you steal an idea, Mr. Hitchcock? I think maybe he did. I know that biopic with Anthony Hopkins once makes it pretend like his wife was like, "You should kill her in the first act. It'll shock people. They'll never see it coming."
So you see, even Psycho the novel was only out in 1959.
That was my next question. Oh, Psycho.
But in the novel, she dies in the second or third chapter. It's not halfway through. That was one of the things Hitchcock said. We should move this murder to halfway through the film. That'll throw everyone off. But yeah, absolutely, it's difficult. To see some sort of inspiration come from Night of the Hunter.
I'm going to say that we're the first people to ever pick up on this. Mean Streets exclusive. I'm sure we're
Mean
not.
Streets exclusive. There you go.
but maybe not. Anyway, but Grace Kelly, like, she would have been incredible in this for sure.
I think she's been fantastic in this. Yeah.
Like I said, it really could have leveled the playing field. It could have taken things up to another notch because, Shelley Winters, she doesn't really do anything for me other than annoy me. There's one scene that she does really well, which we'll come on to a bit later. But it's the scene in the prayer meeting scene. That's
the prayer meeting.
That's it.
She thought it was the most thoughtful and reserved performance she ever gave.
I think she's fucking insane.
I'm going to say that I disagree with her on that, and I think that the best and most thoughtful and reserved performance she ever gave was Mrs. Rosen in the Poseidon Adventure, because I love that film. And she's great in that film.
Yes,
I think she's overstating the point here. To be quite honest, I don't think she's at her best in this film. No,
she's not. Every scene she looks confused, but not in that the character is confused. The actor looks confused.
Yeah.
In every scene, it's that sort of Henry Cavill effect of like,
the Henry Cavill.
Huh?
Yeah. Why am I here?
Be heroic. Be happy. Be sad. All right. You just got the Zoolander effect. The one, you got the one look, and she holds that one look throughout the whole piece. It's hard. Sorry, the other choice option was Betty Grable. I got nothing there.
I've no opinion either way there.
Nope. Then there's some alternate casting for the character of Rachel Cooper that is kind of interesting. One was Elsa Lancaster.
Elsa, yeah.
As wife. You know, yes, his Lawton's wife, who I know famously from The Bride of Frankenstein, who plays both Mary Shelley and the Bride of Frankenstein. I'm like, hey, it's the Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. She would have been cool. I could have seen that, but she turned it down. She's like, nope. She's the one who recommended Lillian Gish for the role.
Yeah. I think that Elsa Lanchester would have been really good in this. She's great casting choice for this. I can quite happily see her sitting on that porch with a rifle in her hands, a shotgun in her hands.
Yeah.
In the night, in the standoff at night towards the end. I can see her doing that. I can see her being the mother hen that has all these stray kids around. I can just see everything Lillian Gish gives us. I can see Elsa Lanchester giving us as well. Yeah. Having said that, I do think Gish is the right choice.
Well, maybe. I think the right choice for this script would have been to cut all of that crap, because it does this film no favors. But we'll get there.
The reason I say I think she's the right choice is the same reason I think Gloria Swanson is the right choice, in that it leads into it feeds into the silent movie thing.
Yeah, she's
And Lawton said, Gish asked him why he'd chosen her, and He said, when I first went to the movies, they sat in their seats straight and leaned forward. Now they slump down, eat candy and popcorn, and I want them to sit up straight again. You know, as it is, nobody wants to see it.
I would hate for him to see cinema in 2025.
Yeah.
People eating their nacho chips and pizzas and playing on their phones.
Yeah, well, man, what? But as it turned out, you know, they didn't sit up straight again. They just barely went to see it at all. That's the sadness. Exactly. That's the tragedy of the film. But I think for that reason, Gish is, you know, she feeds into that whole aesthetic that Laughton was going for. You know, she's like an Easter egg for it.
Yeah, and the irony of her being a silent film star is she's the one who doesn't act in any way like she's in a silent film, like the others do. I mean, that's the thing. Even with Shelley Winters, there's overacting in scenes where it's like, well, this film has audio. This film has relatively clear picture. You don't need to sort of overact some of this stuff because, you know, you can be subtle with this. You know, you're not on a stage. You're not 50,000 feet away from people. The camera's right in your face. There's audio. We got it.
Yeah, I think that's all down to Laughton's choice and his desires on what this should be.
Yeah,
you know, I think she's probably just following orders.
I know. I think so too. Like I said, you know, better in other things, but here, just I was struggling. I was struggling.
I mean, if you take the scene when he kills her, and you said before about her lying in bed and she's like Sleeping Beauty. I mean, if you can substitute in your head Grace Kelly in those shots, that scene works all the better. I think
it could be because she's, you know, she's just overacting. But I mean, the other problem, if we're we'll get into it now. Her character is so flat, so boring. It is so poorly developed. It was really fucking annoying. This episode's going to get no marketing because I'm saying the F word so much with this movie, but it really annoyed me. It really, really annoyed me because we get this. Peter Graves spends about 3 minutes on camera and his character is more fleshed out than the woman who's meant to be manipulated by Mitchum's preacher.
Well, she's very much just a plot device, isn't she?
Yeah. But she should have been more.
She's a way of him getting to the kids. The kids are what matter in this. The brother and sister are what matter in this. She doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but she should have been. She should have been the gate to the kids. She should have been the thing that we need to. That's why This is why I'm. You know, to jump super far ahead. This is why I think we don't need that third, fourth, fifth, sixth act with the kids on the run and all that kind of crap. Because and the Mrs. Cooper stuff because. You know, you don't need it. Mrs. Shelley Winters' character, Willa, that she's the gate to the kids. The story should have been focused on Mitchum trying to get to the kids through the mom, and we should have been a part of his manipulations to win her over, seed his way into her life, get them to, you know, get her to marry him, and then once he's married, he's trying to get the stuff, and you know, then you can, you know, pull things forward a little bit, and he gets caught earlier and you know, arrested earlier. And you cut that other crap out of the story because at this point, the way that it's handled in this narrative, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything that feels justified or worthy. It's like, you know, I don't know. They just really annoyed me because she was so empty. And when she dies, you're like, oh crap, she's dead. Okay, you know, it's a great scene between Mitchum and her, but you know, but as a character, I don't give a flying shit about her actually dying.
No, and I question whether you are meant to. Quite honestly, I question whether you're meant to.
But that's also bad. That's also bad screenwriting. If you're questioning if you're meant to, that's also bad because you need to.
She isn't the thing you remember about. What you remember about Shelley Winters in this film is the image that we've already talked about when she's under the water tied to the car.
You remember the dummy. You remember the dummy that did better acting than the human.
Yeah, you don't remember anything else. That is true to say. You don't remember anything else. So yeah, in that respect, she is a useless character, definitely. Because you shouldn't own. You don't just remember, for example, Mitchum's love and hate tattoos. You remember a lot of things about Mitchum. You remember a lot of things about the kid, about John. I think John's performance is pretty good for a kid, you know. And normally I hate kids in movies. But she is very much a side issue, is Shelley Winters. Very much a side issue. And that is a fault. That is a fault, because I can sort of see what you're saying about the fact that if she would have been a stronger character, she would have been the line of defense between him and the children. That would negate Cooper. I get that. Yeah. But
her mom
she
was
is just a sap.
The old lady mother character, whoever's mom that old lady was, like she was more fleshed out than Winters.
Yeah. Is that not her mom?
I think it's her mom. I think it's her mom. But yeah, because she is then just a plot device, and she is a woman who has no agency of her own, and she's a woman who simply becomes. She plays not a dissimilar role in Lolita, where James Mason marries her to get close to Lolita. But she is much more fleshed out in that, you know, because the story concentrates on that family unit then, and how that is perverted, and destructive, and because that marriage happens very quickly, doesn't it? As well. It's done and dusted in about 2 minutes. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. And all of a sudden,
she has no reactions to things that she should be reacting to. There's a scene where the preacher is being abusive to Pearl, the youngest daughter, and she screams and runs, and he goes to chase after her just as Willa walks into the house, and Willa just has no response.
Yeah. No response.
And I get that the implication is that she's so brainwashed that's why she's not responding. But we have not seen or experienced any really much of her brainwashing. The only real brainwashing sort of scene we get is at one point, you know, she goes into his room and he scolds her for going in there and being like, hey, what do you mean you want to come in and have sex and get in bed with me? And, you're just meant for childbearing, and you've already got kids. So you need to not, I'm not going to bang you, and shames her for, having, erotic feelings.
That's it. Yeah. Saying pretty much he's saying, isn't he? You've done your duty as a woman. I don't need to do anything with it. And it's because he doesn't want to, does he?
Yeah.
He's not his type, as it were. Not young enough and not beautiful enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a point against.
And she just sort of folds, though. She just folds in that moment, and then that's it. She's done dusted. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's all the character arc we get for her. All right, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, she's underwritten, that's for sure. But I don't think the script cares enough about her to do any more, because I think it really wants you to focus on, rightly or wrongly, on Mitchum and the children. So she is disposable, just as she is to the preacher.
I mean, she is, but at the same time, they spend so much time with Gish's Cooper.
Yeah.
And her stupid little duckling kids. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell am I watching? Why am I suddenly in this Orphan Annie story? What is going on?
The only bit I would want seriously trimming from the whole Cooper thing, is the schmaltzy Christmas bit right at the end.
Why is that there?
I get the point. I get that John and Pearl are now safe. I get that. I'm not interested in what presents they got for Christmas.
No, I'm not interested in him giving her an apple wrapped in whatever doily.
With a peg. Held together with a peg. Now that.
Thanks, John.
Regardless of what the symbolism of that is, and she says, this is the most rewarding present I've got. I'm sort of almost throwing up at this point, because I am much more interested in the darkness of the preacher than I am the light of Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
And I'm glad the kids are happy. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see everyone miserable before I get a load of complaints. I'm glad the kids are happy, and it's certainly glad that they are safe. But I don't need to see it for 10 minutes.
No.
For me, the film ends the minute John is beating Robert Mitchum on the stomach with the doll and the money is flying everywhere.
That's one of its endings. Yes.
That's for me the minute it ends.
Yeah.
And when they take him away and she takes John in her arms, Mrs. Cooper takes John in her arms, and they walk back to the house. The end.
That should have been the end, because we're jumping so far ahead now, but whatever. What is the point of everything that happens afterwards? What is the point of the trial case? The kid, John is dead. So is that mad? We don't even turn. The camera doesn't even turn to go and look at Mitchum's character for some reason. We don't even see who he's referring to, which led me for a second to think it was the old man earlier in the film, that uncle, whatever his name was, who was like worried that if he told that if he said anything, that people would accuse him of doing it, right? For a second, I thought that's who they were going to try to pin this on, because I thought, where is this movie going? It's gone all over the place at this point. And they never, that character, that old man character, what a useless point, a useless waste of time. His character did nothing. He saw the body, found the body, but did nothing about it. He didn't even tell anybody about it. Why is he there then? God damn.
It does because he's frightened. He is frightened they're going to pin it on him, isn't he? He is frightened.
Yeah, he is. So we have this court scene that then reveals nothing. And then a second later, there's this Frankensteinian mob with torches and pitchforks and stuff outside. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? Then they throw Mitchum into a car and they drive him away. And while Cooper and the kids are walking around like ducks following the mother hen, which is just stupid, while there's this angry, vicious, murderous mob storming the streets. And then we're outside the police station and the cop's like, oh, we're going to go hang this guy. We saved you Big Goose for Christmas. And he's like, oh, I'll happily do that. And then suddenly Jingle Jangle Christmas music starts playing. And 5 seconds ago, there's a big angry mob. What happened to the big angry mob? This film is so bad on a narrative level. It's infuriating. It's beautiful to look at in spots, but if you're watching this for its narrative, which is why I don't watch films. This is why films like Avatar piss me off. Oh man, but did you see the way it looked? Yeah, I don't give a shit how it looked. I'd rather watch something bad, like an episode of Star Trek that looked bad but has great storytelling and good acting than something that has a bajillion bucks behind it. It's just that's my personality, I guess. But that whole ending, and then suddenly it's Christmas time, and we're talking about gifts and shit. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, the Christmas thing definitely can go, and I agree. Really, well, I've already said it. The film ends for me when John has a breakdown. John sees what's happening to his father happen again, and it all comes back to him, and he has a memory relapse, and he breaks down. That's the end of the film. Yeah.
But you
the angry mob.
Breakdown?
Well, when he says, I don't want the money and all that, he's saying, and he's remembering his dad, because they do to Mitchum exactly what Mitchum's.
I know, but do you buy the breakdown though? I didn't. I thought, oh, this is forced.
No.
Because this guy's been so mean. He should be like, yeah, fucking arrest this guy, get him out of our life.
Yeah, but John's not seeing that, is he? John's seeing his dad in his place. John's seeing his dad in his place. I can buy that. What I can't buy is the Christmas bit, as I've said. And I know what you mean about the angry mob, the Frankenstein mob, because I don't understand why they're there either. And I can only think that it's to show, they've seen evil up close and they all feel betrayed because it was a priest. And I think, well, I can sort of take that for granted, I don't need to see this mob carrying, and they are carrying torches like Frankenstein. And all that needs is one line from that gobby old woman to say, evil walks amongst us in the form of goodness, or whatever it might be. That's just off the top of my head, but you know what I mean? Whatever it might be. And we get that that's how they feel,
Yeah.
So we get their betrayal. I understand their betrayal, but I don't need to see him having to go at the kids and having to go at Mrs. Cooper for taking him in. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, because I thought for a second, what did he not get convicted? Is that why you're like, oh, hang him, kill him, hang him? Did he not? But no, he is, because the cop says we got a big. I'm happy to take care of this one. Like, okay, so he's gonna get justice is served. He's gonna die.
Yeah, and here's another thing. You know, you see vicious criminals like the Yorkshire Ripper or whoever it might be, and they come out of police stations or courts with a blanket on them, and there are crowds of angry people shouting, kill him, kill him, kill him. And they're banging on the van door, the police van doors and all that business. That's what should happen here.
Yeah.
They shouldn't smuggle him out so that no one has a go at him. We should see the mob exercising its betrayal and thirst for justice by trying to assault him and the police having to bundle him into the van. That's what we should see.
Yes.
You know, and I don't like for all I love the stylisticness of this film and the staging of it and the unreal aspect to it. I don't like the hangman being all jolly, you know, and taking his hat off and going, "This time will be a pleasure." You know, I don't like that, because equally, I don't need to see the hangman at the beginning saying to his wife, "I think I'll give this in. It's all too depressing." I don't need that.
What useless scene. Useless.
Yeah, I don't need that.
And the thing is, this film is an hour and a half long. Honestly, you could cut this thing down to probably 45 minutes. There's a 45-minute TV show episode in here. That's it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to see that much cut, but I'd certainly say you could cut 15, 20 minutes out of it. Yeah, I agree.
Maybe an hour, maybe 15 minutes. But think about even the scene with the kids on the boat. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And they stop off at a barn. It's a cool scene. It's a cool visual.
Yeah.
But I don't need to see them stop off in a barn and then get back in their boat and go on and on and on and on and on. Like, you know, cut the crap with the hangman at the beginning and the end. Literally, if you end the movie, if you end the movie just where you were saying earlier, where John is upset, you know, when the preacher's getting arrested, and then you cut all these little bits out. This hour and 30 minutes, you could easily cut this down to 50 minutes. There's a lot. I mean, even Mitchum's introduction is really hammy and kind of not great. He just is exposing by praying to the Lord about how, you know, awful he is, but how it's okay.
Well, let's talk about Mitchum for a bit, because I said at the outset when I watched this to do this recording, I had a reaction I'd not had before, and that is all to do with Mitchum. People will know, regular listeners will know, I'm a massive Robert Mitchum fan.
As am I. Yep.
I think bear with me, I think he's fabulous in this, in the right scenes.
Oh, yeah.
But there are too many occasions on this current rewatch where he veers too much towards the comedic. And there are two scenes in particular. I
bet you I know which one. But I know one of them. Is it when he gets shot and he goes howling away like he's from Planet of the Apes, like he's Caesar.
Yeah. He turns into a chicken and legs it into the bar. He's going like bah, 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 and all that business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. I thought that
it's like a Three Stooges sort of gimmick. Yeah. It was terrible.
And there were a couple of close-ups of his face and when I said before about wide-eyed and open mouth, it's him. Too many of them.
Yeah.
Not enough for me to say I can't stand watching it, because the good does outweigh the bad for me. Because when he's being evil, which is what Mitchum is great at doing, and being threatening, which he's definitely good at doing, there are bits in this which I can see the blueprint for Max Cady and Cape Fear. And the problem with the comedic side of it all is that it really comes close to diluting the whole effect for me.
Yeah.
It did on this watch anyway. So I much prefer the Mitchum who is being slightly pervy towards one of Cooper's girls in the ice cream parlor.
Yes. Again, cut all that. Useless. I love him. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, not cut him in the ice cream parlor. I think that's necessary. But yeah. This I've fallen in love with him. When did she first see him?
Right.
And the bit where he is, the bit I've mentioned when he's standing under the lamp, and the bits where he first arrives, and he's doing the thing with the hands. I think all that is great stuff.
Yeah.
But clucking like a chicken after he's been shot, people don't do that. And I know this is stylized, and I'm a fan of the stylized nature of it. I'll say that again. But this takes me out of it, even out of the stylized fairy tale.
Yeah. Well, it goes from horror. It goes from horror to cartoon.
Slapstick. Yeah.
It goes from Nosferatu level horror to Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Literally Bugs Bunny.
And there was far more of it than I remembered.
Yeah. You know what it's like? This is a lame example, but it reminds me of like the Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, where the first movie, if anyone who's seen it, it's pretty dark, pretty gritty, pretty grim, very violent. Studio were like, too much violence. And the next film, it's super jokey, super silly. They don't use their weapons at all, and it's just goofy. And it's like that, or it's like Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, where it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing with these scenes? Is this meant to be funny? Is this meant to be serious? What you're not. This is the balance. The balance is all wrong. It's all wrong in this one.
Yeah, well, it can be. I think it can be. I mean, the Mitchum sitting in watching the burlesque show, where he's looking with a mixture of disgust and lust.
Yeah.
And the cops first game. That is the level of the character that I want to see all the way through.
Same.
And that character is undermined when he has to jump like a chicken over a gate. And I really feel quite strongly about that, because up until this point, up until watching this today, if somebody said to me, "What do you think of Robert Mitchum in Night of the Hunter?" I would have said he's terrifying. Now I will say, with the exception of a couple of bits, he's terrifying.
Yeah.
And those couple of bits do rankle. They really do. They really do rankle with me. It's such a shame, because he's such a good actor. He's so good in everything, and so menacing when he needs to be. He's Max Cady. I'll die on this hill. His Max Cady is more terrifying to me than De Niro's is, because De Niro's is too obvious. Mitchum's is a closeted psychopath.
Yeah.
De Niro wears his psychopathy on his sleeve. That's always been my view, and I think one is much more terrifying than the other, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And this is what this should be a prototype Cady to me, and it almost is. But there are just some scenes that rob it of that power.
Yeah. Well, Mitchum, has expressed his love for Laughton and working on this film, and said he had just a ton of fun. And I'm sure he did. It's something very similar to, we talked with this off camera the other day, where Harrison Ford is like, someone was like, "Oh, didn't you know that Dial of Destiny was going to suck ass?" And he was like, "Well, it happens, but I had fun." And that's kind of the vibe I get from this, is he had fun on this, and we are seeing him have fun for sure. The problem is like what the director is having him do, and the takes that they are using in from editing. It doesn't create a consistent. This is what I mean. The film is uneven. It is a very, very uneven film, and it's frustrating, because he's clucking like a chicken, leaping around like he's from Planet of the Apes. And then a scene later, he's like stumbling out of the barn in the morning as if he's like drunk. It's like, what have you been doing in the barn all night long? What? And now you're just sort of fumbling out like a Tex Avery drunkard. What is going on?
Yeah. Now, it would be much more powerful to me if he comes out of that bar. If the police arrive within moments rather than the next day, Is it the next day? Oh no, he goes and sleeps in the barn, does it?
He goes and sleeps in the barn, and I'm like, why'd you do that? Why did you?
After he's been shot, though, doesn't? After he's been shot.
Yeah.
So the police should arrive straight away.
Yes.
For one thing, and he should come out of the barn because it's surrounded, and he should come out with blood on his hands and, dying. That's what he should. That's what he should come out at. Because for my money, he's been shot. He passes out in the barn. And he dies.
Yeah.
Depending on where he's been shot, I suppose. Which the way he's running around, it looks as if he's been shot in his backside, like in a every cartoon.
Like a cartoon. Yes.
Yeah, and it undermines what nature is, So that is one of my biggest problems with this current rewatch, and I find it hard to. I don't think I'll ever sort of revisit this and not have that feeling now.
No, because the film does something so interesting with his character at the beginning. Again, this is partly feeds into why I get so frustrated with Willa, and that is so much of the initial story is about the preacher isolating John, because John has let it slip that he knows where the money is, and he's trying to keep it away from this man who is trying to steal this money that his dad promised, to keep hidden and safe, and not even tell his mom and all that kind of stuff, and there's that scene where the preacher locks John in a room, and the mom doesn't do anything about it. Like, he is properly isolated, and it's at some point in the film, you go to like the noir aspect. There's always the the guy who's out of his depth. Well, the guy who's out of his depth is this child.
Yeah.
He's the PI in this story. You know what I mean? He's that function of
he's the one that's facing the danger.
And I was very captivated by that concept that then just very quickly just evaporated, and then it just became a sort of cat and mouse chase that was just sort of a bit limp. Like, oh, these gypsies is what they say in the film. Don't come at me. These gypsies, they killed a guy, took his horse, and then snap cut to Mitchum's, preachers on a horse. He's the one who did it. Okay, yeah, all right. All right. Like, I don't know. The film had so many cool ideas early on that by the time she dies, by the time Willa is murdered, and another scene, god damn, that other scene where he's crying in the bar, in the bar or the diner, wherever he's crying. It's a comedic, it's a fake ass cry.
Yeah.
But something you would see in a comedy. It's like, okay, yeah, he's doing this for, what are you doing, Mitchum? What are you doing? Why, Lawton, why are you saying this is good? This is not good. This is not the take you use.
No. And you can use the stylistic otherworldly quality only so far, I think, because the fact remains, no matter how fairy tale you want this to be, that the people who are living in that fairy tale don't know they're living in a fairy tale. So they have to believe he's really crying.
Yeah.
So if you saw somebody in McDonald's going, you would say, well, what's he doing?
What the hell's wrong with that person?
Whereas if you saw somebody actually crying, then, in movies, you would go over and say, what's wrong, sort of thing. So the people in the drama have to believe that their drama is their real life. They have to act as if it's their real life, no matter how stylized that real life is. And that is another scene where it is a bit too obviously fake when it shouldn't be,
Yes.
Because if he's going to do that, when he is so effective under the lamppost, just staring, why is he not going, ooh, or something?
Yes.
Not consistent.
Yeah. I mean, the film does other weird things as well. I mean, there's this sing-song. God damn, I hate sing-song moments in films sometimes. But when Pearl is dubbed with some old woman singing a song as if she's singing it.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. What the frick are you? What is going on with this movie? Like, I mean, I kind of like the song at the beginning. It was quite haunting, the hunter of the night fills your child's fear with heart and fright. Like that was fun. that kind of added some some spookiness to this. That was fun. I dug that. I did not like the children's faces in the stars and Mrs. Cooper's message. I don't know what that was meant to be. I don't know what that accomplished other than confusion. But I like the song. I thought that was fun.
It's all part of the religious. It's all part of the religious side of it, isn't it? She's selling her surrogate children, foster children, whatever you want to call them, about evil in the world when it is about to arrive.
Yeah,
but I don't think I agree. I don't think we need it. I don't think we need to see it. A voiceover would have been perfectly fine.
Yes, maybe, sure. I think the song accomplished everything. The hunter of the night fills your childish heart with fright. Maybe, yeah. That's all that you need. The song accomplishes everything that's about to come. We get it. This guy is a hunter. He's nasty. He's evil. He's going to frighten your children.
He's on his way. Yeah.
Yes, that's all you need. Then you got this biblical shit that's like, all right, we get it. You're really hamming this up. You're really forcing this down our throats, and then you cut to Mitchum being like, "Oh Lord, how's it going, old buddy, old pal? Oh, I know you don't. I know you like the killing. There's plenty of killing in your book." I'm like, and from the outset, I'm just sort of like, what is it's the film almost loses me straight away, honestly, with its silliness right out the gate. That it feels like I said, this feels very, very, very B movie, and it didn't need to be. It could have been a shocking, brutal classic, but it's, to me, this is just B schlock that I would be happy if I never see again.
Well, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. I like the song about the hangman. When they're, and then Pearl's, John is listening to it like with real sort of suppressed anger. And then Pearl starts singing it just because it's got a catchy tune.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't understand what the words are. And he says, you need to stop singing that. I did like that, but I agree. After a while, the singing can go too much singing.
Yes.
And too much, dare I say, too much religion for me.
It's
too much theology.
It's not done very well. It's not done very well, that's for sure. Not done very well.
Could just do with a bit less of it, really. I get the point.
I mean, here's another question. What was the fucking point of the dead woman at the beginning of the movie?
Don't know.
I mean, he killed her. But why?
Her. Yeah, he kills her.
Took the money out of the sugar jar.
I think it's that. Yeah, I think this is what he does. Because it's based on a real life case.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Of a man who did get woo women and then kill them by writing letters to widows and stuff like that and then killing them. So I think the indication
again, we don't see it.
No, I think no, we don't see it. Well, unless we do see it with that dead woman, don't we?
Well, we don't. We see the aftermath, but we don't even see the manipulation with Willow. We don't see any of it. It's just okay. No,
and
all right.
I think it's like with Willow, it's the added allure of the $10,000. So he goes and does what he does.
Yeah.
And then thinks I'll get 10 grand in the mix. But yeah, I do.
Because surely if there's these murders going on, the cops are going to be trying to investigate this stuff.
Well,
are they not chasing after, like, where's this? What happened? Who was here? What did he look like?
And he does get arrested for,
Well, exactly. And there's no jeopardy with that either. It's like, okay, I've just been arrested as a car thief. By that point in the movie, you sort of have forgotten that there's this dead woman that he's probably killed because the film doesn't connect to that.
Yeah, there's a dead woman there.
It's just like, all right.
That does seem to sort of fall by the wayside. Yeah, it does seem to fall by the wayside.
And then we get I like the scene when he's in that club and he's watching the sexy lady do her dance and he's just so angry by it. He's a old fashioned incel basically. And he's furious about it and he wants to do something about it. And they close up on his hand that says hate and he's clenching his fist. Like, that's like, okay, this feels dangerous.
And then his knife goes off in a particular fashion. And
yes, like an erection.
Yeah. Yep. And is he angry about? Is that erection because he's getting off on the hatred for her?
Yeah.
Or because secretly
he's an incel, so yes,
he wants her.
It's
Yeah,
it's both. That's what
it's
incels
both.
do.
Yeah, it's both, which is why he's got the love and the hate.
Yes,
So he loves what he hates, and he hates what he loves. Something.
So like that was really cool, and I like the idea of that. But then what happens next? Oh, he's arrested and he's thrown in jail, and just coincidentally happens to be in the same cell as Peter Graves, who's on death row. Would they be in the same cell? Would they be in the same cell?
Well, I find that no less. I find that no less offensive than the Shawshank Redemption coincidence of.
Well, we're not talking about Shawshank Redemption. We're talking about this.
As being in the same cell as the one man who coincidentally can free him, and give evidence for him. What are the chances of that? So I put that down to cinematic coincidence.
Yeah, but to me, it's just time wasting. It's time wasting. Okay, we got all this time. We got him standing in front of the judge. He goes to jail, and then we just cut to Peter Graves, and he's running away. And then he goes to jail, and I'm like, well, man, you could have just had like this start in jail. Like,
well, you could have had it start in jail. Yeah, you could have had it start in jail.
I'm telling you, there's a 50-minute movie here.
Yeah, you definitely could have had it start in jail. There are certainly bits that couldn't be cut out of it. I don't dispute that at all. I absolutely don't dispute that at all. My real problem with this is comedy Mitchum. That's my real issue with this film. As I sit here today, is comedy Mitchum.
Mine's a mixture of all these things.
Yeah, the rest, the narrative issues, absolutely. But I don't watch this film necessarily for the plot. And I know what you say about. I mean, you should always watch a film for the story. There should always be a story, and there is a story.
Yeah.
But I watch this for its uniqueness in a way, its stylisticness.
Yes,
Mitchum, when he's dangerous, like Mitchum, and for the kid who plays John, whose name escapes me now. What's he called? Billy Chapin.
Sure.
I think that's a good performance from a whatever age kid he is.
He does all right. Pearl's pretty terrible though.
Pearl is pretty terrible. Some of Pearl's crying apparently was Laughton shouting at her.
Yeah.
Going back to what we were saying about him just carrying on filming until the film ran out.
Yeah.
Some of Pearl's crying is because he'd just been shouting, because he was directing it as a silent film director would do. So while they're talking, he's shouting at them.
Yeah.
And I think he's making her cry, and some of her they're real tears.
It's true. They are. I mean, something again. There's another aspect that I thought this was a setup that had no payoff was when Pearl is outside, cutting up the money into dolls, mommy and daddy dolls.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. And then, John walks out and he's like, oh, we got to put this money away. He starts putting it away. And the preacher walks out and he's like, oh, what are you kids throwing out there? And he's like, oh, no, they're just putting stuff away. Da, da, da. And he doesn't find the money. But as those two are walking back towards the house, on the ground, you see the cut up mom and dad paper money cutouts flapping in the wind right by Mitchum's feet. And I thought, he's going to find that, and that's going to tip him off that the money is nearby. The kids must have the money in something. Never comes back.
No.
And I thought, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I don't think this is, I got to say, I don't think this is like some sort of clever subverting expectations. I think this is just bad filmmaking. I think it's not knowing what you're doing with a script that was 293 pages that had to be rewritten, and a guy who's making a movie just letting the film run and not really focusing what this narrative needs to be about.
But you'd have to then accept that Laughton puts the camera there so you can see it, but you can see the cut up bills by Mitchum's feet, so he knows that they're there.
He knows that they're there.
They mean something.
Yeah.
He knows they mean something.
Yeah, but does nothing with it. Any because that is setting up danger. That's setting up danger for the kids. That then is never. We don't. That danger doesn't get paid off. The danger comes later, when they have to go on the run.
But he would only. Well, the danger starts. The danger starts in the basement, doesn't it? That's when the danger really starts. I mean, arguably, the danger starts the minute he arrives.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
The minute he arrives. but I do like the fact that everyone is taken in by him except John, and I do like the fact that John,
I like that too.
someone so young, is so brave and stands up to him. Like you say, he is the PI in this, or he's the protector in this. And that's a nice subversion of the norm for me. And I think that, I mean, when the dollar bills are on the floor, I mean, he knows the money's in the house, doesn't he? He knows the money is there. He just doesn't know whereabouts it is. So they wouldn't tell him where it is. They don't confirm that he's there. So he is already there. He's just, you should have got a reaction shot, perhaps. Should have got a reaction shot.
I think so. This is why I think the whole thing should have been focused on the manipulation of the preacher manipulating the mom at first, and then killing the mom, and then going after Pearl, and just continuing that like isolation feel, right? So that John is just completely and utterly alone, but he knows he has to stop this guy somehow. And that would have paid off. So this is where that tricky aspect of what do you do in adaptation? Not everything. The Tom Bombadil stuff is boring in cinema. Yeah. We don't need to see them go to Tom Bombadil. I get it. I get why he was cut. It makes sense. I'm fine with it. This is why I'm like, Cooper, it should have been cut. It should have been cut. The climax should have been pulled into this story of this John being isolated in this house with this man who's murdered his mom and has manipulated his sister against him. And even the other town, even his grandma, you know what I mean? All these people who don't believe John, who John's connected to, that makes me feel for John. But when John's on the run and they're suddenly at this, Mother Goose house, I don't give a shit about Mother Goose. I don't give a shit about the girl who's walking in town talking to those boys. I don't give a crap about this nurse who comes up to some little girl and says, "Oh, I'm saving up to buy you a thing." I don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah, well, again, this is like
people.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's there for a reason, isn't she? She's there to show that, goodness triumphs over evil, even when it's a little old woman against a big man.
Yeah,
it might be a simplistic message, but that's what she's there for.
Yeah,
and who else in this film is going to do it? If John's trapped in the house with Robert Mitchum, who else is going to come and do it? Mr. Scoops or Mr. Spoons, whatever he's called.
let John do it. Let John be the hero.
Well, that would have been certainly would have been an interesting climax.
That's John what I mean. Like you can twist this stuff and give this climax to John. Give him the fucking gun.
Yeah, I think the old phrase of style over substance generally means a negative thing. In this, I think the style is so well done for the most part that's almost the sort of point of it. But there comes a time when, for all that style and brilliance of lighting and shade and otherworldliness that we've mentioned, when that becomes the overriding thing, then I think you might be in trouble. I think you might be in trouble. And I think that is what is happening, and I think that's what leads to the chicken Mitchum. That we've got to remind people that this isn't real. This is a fairy story. So we'll see evil in a way that we can laugh at it.
Yeah,
I think that's what, and I'm just using that as an example. I think that's what happens in other aspects of the narrative, so that the style does overtake everything else. And I think that is a negative quality for the film. Whether it whether that overrides everything else that I do enjoy this film is a different issue, and that's a purely personal take. But there are parts of this film that do sort of, like you say, infuriate you. Infuriate you, and I fully understand why it was a bomb, why it was a flop.
Yeah, well,
I don't think people are ready for this sort of stuff.
I don't even know if it's that people are ready for it. I think looking at the marketing of this, they said Paul Gregory, the producer, said they had no money. United Artists had no money.
Yeah,
they didn't put any marketing behind this, but also they didn't know how to promote it because they didn't know what category this film fell into. And it's like, is this a thriller? Is it a horror? Is it a comedy? What is this? What is this? Because it's such an uneven. It's tonally all over the place. that I'm like, what, he's running away, like you said, running away like a chicken at the end. It's very Three Stooges. Well, how do we go from haunting dead woman in the bottom of a whatever creek or whatever to that in the same movie? Like, what?
I mean,
the fake sob crying, the goofy comedic crying in a diner. Like, what?
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating. That in itself is a fascinating film study. How do these two sides of this film marry up? And my answer would be to that I'm not sure they do, and that you have to sort of, for me personally, you have to say, this is the film I've got. What do I like about it that makes me going back to it? And that is the dark side of Mitchum and the visuals. Most of the visuals, I would say.
Concept.
Yeah. So I love this. I love that.
Fail.
Yeah. Story-wise, I think it's plot and narrative, not the same thing.
And acting. Come on. And acting.
And some of the acting, I will say, is
all of Shelley Winters is 90% of Shelley. The only scene I like with Shelley Winters, I just gotta say, is the prayer room scene, is the Bible meeting scene, where there's like these like
a bit,
where there's like fire, there's these torches going, and she's properly brainwashed by this point. She's like, I was terrible, and I would do this.
Yeah, she says something like, if a woman like me can drive a man to murder, I know what sin is.
So she's literally taking the blame for her husband murdering someone. She's been that manipulated by Mitchum's character, which would have been nice to have seen, but whatever. But like, and I like the commentary on that. I like the danger of religion and the way it can manipulate people and brainwash people into believing such lunacy, to almost that sort of admitting to a crime you didn't commit situation. And also the way in which religion is heavily used to manipulate and abuse women. That is a very fascinating topic, and is a very important and dark topic that this film handles so fucking poorly that it's at times it's like almost there, and then it's like, oh, okay, now this is just insulting. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that reaction to it. It's almost as if there are at least two stories in this film, and it fluctuates between the two of them. One is the search for the 10 grand, and one is the destruction of Willa. And the film hasn't got space for both of them. One has to go, or one certainly has to suffer.
Yes.
And I think you're talking about a whole different kettle of fish if you talk about the manipulation of a woman and the total brainwashing of a woman and her eventual murder. If Robert Mitchum had made that film with Shelley Winters, he wouldn't be jumping over gates clucking like a chicken. I am certain of that. And he certainly could have made that film. He easily could have made that film.
Yeah. And honestly, I struggle to even work out why he needed to murder her. I don't know what he gained from that. It didn't help him get closer to the money.
No, but it is to isolate the kids. There's no protection for the kids then, is there?
They already had no protection. She walked in the house while her daughter was screaming bloody murder while he was abusing her, and she did.
Her brainwashing was.
She sat there on a bed while he slapped her, and she didn't even move. She was brainwashed beyond salvation. She was done.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so that sort of supports what I just said, that the film hasn't got enough time to do both stories, so you just have to accept one.
No.
You have to accept one. It's by no means a perfect film, this, by no means.
No.
But that doesn't stop it being a fascinating one for me. I think this is
it's fascinating.
It's a fascinating film. And like I said at the start, I think it's a Marmite of a film. And by and large, I mean, a very broad brush commentary. By and large, I think it's a Marmite film.
I was going to say, I was going to talk about critic response at the time, because critic response wasn't great. I quite like this quote from the New York Times that called it a weird and intriguing endeavor, and said that unfortunately the story and the thesis presented by Mr. Grubb had to be carried through by Mr. Laughton to a finish, and it is here that it goes wrong. From the evolution of the melodrama after the threatened, frightened children flee home, angles off into the allegorical contrast of the forces of good and evil. I'm like, yeah, it. Oh boy, variety's comments as well. I quite thought they resonated. But it says the relentless terror of Davis Grubb's novel got away from Paul Gregory and Charles Laughton in their translation of The Night of the Hunter. This start for Gregory as producer and Laughton as director is rich in promise, but the completed product, bewitching at times, loses sustained drive by too many offbeat touches that have a misty effect. And I think that right there, it's bewitching at times, but loses the sustained drive with too many offbeat touches. I think that sums up all of my problems.
Yeah, I can understand those. I don't suffer the same. I can see those problems.
100%.
Yeah, I can see those problems, but I still think this is a mighty film. And for all my hatred of comic Mitchum, and for all the dilution that I think that has when he's at his best, it doesn't necessarily override that for me.
Interesting.
I do agree about some of the plot is all over the place. For something so simple, the plot makes no sense. How something so simple can make no sense, I don't know. And I do think it veers into the territory of there's another of sort of drowning under its own artistic drive, if that's the way of putting it. There was a contemporary review from Life that said, if sometimes it strains too hard at being simple and winds up being pretentious, it is still one of the year's most interesting and provocative films. I think that's what sums it up for me. It can veer into the pretentious, and it can veer into the allegory of good and evil and all that, which I think is there, and I think that's perfectly valid. But I do find it fascinating, and it is a film that I rewatch. I go back and rewatch, and always, as I've proved today, find something different to see in it, because I'd never before cottoned on to comic Mitchum, which is stupid. Yeah. Unless I must have done, but then time plays tricks with your memory, doesn't it? And I remember the bits I prefer to remember.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. I mean, there's a nostalgia angle to this as well. I mean, I do not like or highly rate the 1990s Super Mario movie. It's garbage. But I watched it as a kid, therefore there are things that I have a sentimental affection for. Yeah. But I also know that it is a terrible movie. And I don't know, maybe I don't know. But I don't know. I like I said, I'd seen this once before, had almost retained no memory of it. Watching it again, for this was like, oh, it left like Marmite. I'm not a fan of Marmite. This left a bad taste. Yeah. This is sort of Last Jedi. Last Jedi to me. This is, I'm just I don't. There's very little that I can take away from this. I mean, there's visuals that are great, and there were some scenes that are great in isolation, but it's as a whole, it's a sour apple to me. Yeah. On that note, should we rate it?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I know full well that if I showed this my dear old mum and said, in the film world wide, this is hailed as a classic, and some people say it's the second best movie ever made. If I showed it, she'd say, "Well, what the hell was that?"
Yes,
and she'd say, I've just never watched anything like that again. Don't recommend anything to me again. That's what she'd say about this. And I could sort of understand that. It's one of those films where I can understand why people would say this is awful, this is crap.
Yeah.
But there are things in it I really admire and I really love. And I suspect our ratings are going to be wildly different for this.
I think so. This is why I said that this is another in terms of a modern comparison. I think The Last Jedi might be a really good one, even though is The Last Jedi considered modern anymore? That's so old now. But like that is a film that there are scenes in isolation, there are ideas and concepts that are great, but the execution, the sum of its parts, no, it's not the sum of its parts. It's ugh.
Yeah,
It's like, that was a cool scene. That was a cool scene. That made no sense. That made no sense. Why are they doing this? Why are they acting like this? Like this, I feel this is like a kind of on par with that, where it's like, you're doing things that I like and I'm interested in, but at the same time, you're doing so many things that annoy me that I'm not having an overall good experience with this. So that's
you see, I'm the opposite. I know that there are things that are ridiculous about this, and I always have. And I've always known that it's too long. Slightly, it feels too long. But
at an hour and a half, it's too long.
Yeah, but every time I watch this, there are bits that make me go, "Wow," and I think this is great. And I am taken in. I'll confess it. I am taken in by the style, and by the atmosphere, and by Mitchum's performance when he is giving a proper performance. And those are the things that stay with me afterwards. And
fair enough.
That's the reaction I have to this film.
Maybe you should go see Superman. See if we have wildly different takes. Because I hated that one.
I don't think we don't disagree very often.
No. It's true. This is one of those rare moments where we're like widely different takes on on a
for whatever reason.
Go on, right. Let's rate it. So for those who don't know, we rate all of our movies out of 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Matt, let's start with you. What would you rate The Night of the Hunter?
Well, it's gone down after this particular viewing, because I was absolutely adamant that this was going to be a 5.
All right.
Then I watched it and I thought, God, Robert, you are doing some stuff here. And the Christmas bit and all the rest of it, without repeating myself, all those go into the negative side. But I repeat what I've just said. The visuals of this and the atmosphere of it and the core ethos of it, and Mitchum when he's at his most terrifying, this is a 4 for me. This is a 4 for me. Go on, Decker, do your worst.
Yeah, it's not a 4 for me, that's for sure. It's I hear you. I do. I agree on some of your points that visually there are very delicious visuals in this, but this narrative doesn't hold up, and the acting is so uneven, and there are scenes and characters that are superfluous, and it's frustrating, and there's setups and no payoffs, and it's just it's almost like a Richard Donner Superman director's cut for Superman 2, where it's like, this is just an experiment. There's an experiment, and it's not meant to, it can be judged on that as maybe being of interest, but to be taken seriously as a final product, I can't stand by it as something that is of strong quality. It's a 2 Falcon for me.
That's fair enough. Look, there are people who love the new Superman film, and good for them.
Good for them.
There are people who love the Star Wars.
People love Last Jedi. Good for them.
Sequels. Good for them. There are people that love Zack Snyder's Superman. Good for them.
Yes. If you get something from that, that's fine. I don't deter anyone taking something away from something. But man, this film annoyed me.
Well, I've said this before about certain films on this channel, and that is that, I would always rather a film made somebody strongly against it than just go, meh.
Yes.
But if you watch something and absolutely adore it, great. If you watch something and absolutely hate it, great. Because it stirred some emotion in you. Those people who hate this film along with you, I have all respect for you. Those people who love it along with me, I have all respect for you.
Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm very curious to know what other people think. Tell me how wrong I am, or how right Matt is, or how wrong Matt is, and how right I am.
Yeah, whichever way around. Yeah.
I would love to know what other people think of The Night of the Hunter. I have a feeling I might be in the minority in terms of disliking it. I don't know. I
think you probably are, but I don't think that's a sign of my old mum, she has a thing about if it's black and white, everyone says it's a classic and it's great, and they're not always. And I think that is true. There are certain, this might be one of them. Make your own mind up about that.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think we can file this one away as done and dusted. Like I said, leave us comments. Let us know what you think. If you haven't already, leave us a review on Apple and Spotify and leave comments on YouTube. Follow us, all that kind of stuff. Tell your friends about the podcast. In the meantime, we will be back next week with another case. So take care walking down those mean streets.